Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Freddy the Rabbit and Phil show. Luckily, we have with us today, as we always do, and we sit here just like this, Mr. Freddy the Rabbit. Could we have a little smattering of applause for Freddy the Rabbit out in the studio, please? Look,
thank you.
A smattering.
Yes, a very but a beautiful smattering. Look at that lovely smile.
It's a lovely smile.
And she looks
you know
so
what that
young.
reminds me of? Let me tell you what that reminds me of.
Yes, tell me.
Listen, today is my wedding anniversary, my 11th wedding anniversary. I've been married to Heather Heath for 11 years now.
Lovely person. Wow. You're
and I want to tell you and the entire studio audience that I am the perfect husband, and here's why. Because I have made every mistake you can possibly make in a human relationship in the 3,000 other relationships I had before I met Heather Heath.
Bragging again.
Yes, but look, that's part of this process of aging. I actually have learned a lot more from the mistakes, from the incorrect things that I've done. Mm-hmm. You know, you do it right, and you just kind of dismiss it. Well, I got that. You do it wrong, and you go, well, I've still got to work on that. The mistakes are really more important.
And it has a lot to do, though, with how aware you were. You know, you can make a mistake, you can act out something in your life, and you don't get the message. You don't open up to what that really means. And so you do it again, and you do it again. And then one day you kind of go, wait a minute, I see this pattern. I'm always hopping down that same trail. What am I doing? Let me take a look at this, and you discover more about yourself, and maybe are more free
but it
to move on.
Time. It takes time. And that's why you have to live your life, actually live your life over a period of time, and you don't really ever get there until you're about, 58, 59.
Wait a minute. That means I'm almost there. It's like a Monopoly. Life is a Monopoly game, and I am almost there. As I,
we were
talking.
Pass go.
Or pass go. I won't get into passing. Or passing on.
Please.
Or passing on.
That's right.
To eternity in an hour. What is that? What? I just thought of it.
See eternity in a grain of sand.
Oh, wait, what is it? If I,
to
see, well, no, was it to see, oh, I remember, wait, watch this, we'll do it together.
This is amazing.
To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower, to hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity, in an hour. Now that's it. But you're a genius.
That's not bad.
Well, you're a genius because it all fits together. Because it's about it's about aging. If I had, I'm sure I did read that maybe in high school or whatever, college. But I tell you, I know what that means. I can answer that on the true and false test. But I think at this point in my life, I know some of that. And it's marvelous, and it's joyful, and it is that going full circle, and you like that image of being kind of old or getting older and understanding what William Blake was saying, and it means being a child, too, in the world. A child can do that, and I vaguely remember some of those experiences of going into the woods, and I was Davy Crockett, early America, and I was a hero, and all this stuff, and it was real. I could feel it in my blood and my bone and my muscle, and a child can do that. But to get old and to say that verse like I just did to you, which is a sign that my mental pulse is not as bad as I realized that I could even recall that. But to have a sense in my being, I understand some of that. One thing about getting older, and let the audience know we were talking about aging in the last show. We're jumping right into this. I was coming home a few days ago, and the dogwood tree in my yard. This is how moving this is. The dogwood tree in my yard is old. It is old. I've had to cut some limbs off, and I wonder how long will you last, my friend? We've been in that house like 20 years. Now, why? This is emotional for me, and here it is on TV. And I was coming home. Parked the truck, got out, walking down the side of the street, and saw that dogwood blooming. And I just started talking to it. And I said, "You look so beautiful." Then I went, I have a new neighbor across the street. And then I thought, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. And it wasn't because I was saying, I don't care what the world thinks. It doesn't matter. And part of it is, I am getting older. And I got the white hair. And even the hair on my chest and other parts of my body is turning white. I mean, I've earned the freedom to stand there before I go into my house and say, hey, you look beautiful, dogwood tree and old friend. And I felt it. And I said a few things and went back in the house. We were talking on our own about, male-female relationships and how they change over the years. I was a late bloomer, so to speak, rather innocent and virginal beyond the years, some of my, I don't know how to say that, but anyhow, I was a late bloomer. And once I bloomed, I wanted to kind of hit every garden in the territory, I just got so excited. But part of it was that when I would meet a young man, I would meet a gal, part of my thought was, you got to kind of make a try for it. You got to, show you're a real guy and a man, and it's not like I was just the prowler of the century. I was rather, gee, what do I do now? But live out that stuff and performance and prove to yourself, I'm really adequate. She really went for me, guys, and all that. And boy, is it a wonderful relief to be where I am and have many, I love many, many, many women, and I think it's true, many women love me. And it is so wonderful to have them as friends. It's taken me, almost 60. I don't think I really started appreciating women as truly now, as persons, until I'll bet I hate this. Look, Ann, I love you and all those women out there I met before, but I bet it was in my 40s when I finally could find in myself the very things I thought they had, that I had to kind of get from them. Somehow women had all this power, and whether or not I was adequate would be up to whether or not they found me adequate. And as I get older, I started to realize, wait a minute, in a relationship, I can bring those things to the relationship. Then I was freed up to see them as person. And this was true with my wife. To see her as a person, not someone who literally could destroy me with the snap of her finger because she'd say, Fred, I knew you were a loser. So what a joy. Now, this is real stuff. People know I'm a kidder and all that stuff, but this is real stuff right out of me about one of the joys of this aging developmental process is to be liberated, to see women as persons. And what it is, it's like now making love with intimacy, It's rather than some, I'm not knocking it. It was,
so to speak.
Yeah, so to speak. yeah. It had its joys and wonders, to say the least. But to be able to experience intimacy and not have to turn it into a romantic, gee, are you an item soap opera of the century. So that's one of the liberations, to say the least. Am I making any sense here?
Yeah.
And I've talked to actually some other older guys. One guy said, I'd rather be a teddy bear any day. He was kidding about the fact that, I go through the community and people hug me, I hug them, men, women, dogs, cats, whatever. It's a celebration of life for me. And but he said, boy, that's great. He said, I do some of that too. And he said, it's great. I'd rather be a teddy bear any day. And it's not that you're neuter. It is that you find a special relationship.
Yeah. I hear all this, but look, let me explain something to you.
Help me out on this.
You're dressed like a rabbit, Fred.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
so,
and what's the rabbit thing?
Okay, the rabbit thing is maybe I should start dressing in a suit or something so people wouldn't always turn me into a powerful sex symbol of rejuvenation and all that. But there's a lot of these things. I want to talk, this aging thing's important. We're not running out of time already. Okay. The other thing for me about this getting older, approaching 60. We talked about when you're 60, you can kind of be the elder, and not to be uppity and so smart, but to be a carrier of life. But one thing that's happened with me, when I was younger, I wanted to be the smartest guy. I was so intimidated or impressed by the scholars who read all the books and quoted all the right things, and I read a lot. But when I read, I wanted to take it in and kind of take it like food. I wanted to turn it into flesh and make it me, but I was embarrassed about that, like I was cheating. Gee, you read the Gospels and you think you should become like Jesus? How sick. You should have memorized the Scriptures. Or you read about psychology and, Fred, you're saying you just want to live it? What a cop-out. I mean, we're talking about academic, heavy-duty stuff here. Getting older, I am so glad I took that path where the things I've studied and learned, it's like the emphasis of the journey in Buddhism is to take wisdom and turn it into compassion. The Christian tradition, I think I'm right. Well, I'm right. This is my interpretation, is to take knowledge and turn it into love. And I think, knock on metal here, old rabbit, I think that in my own bumbling, stumbling way, as I get older, I've managed to step into love, into connectedness. I have moments, and I recommend this to anybody, but I have moments when I feel so appreciative for life, not just being alive, but so appreciative of being in the middle of this, and so full of love. And I'm not talking about purity or nobility. I'm talking about just this experience of feeling this love that I remind myself, Fred, contain yourself. Put a lid on it a little bit. Don't. Now, and this is new. This is relatively new for me.
This is interesting. What you're talking about here is taking these, like in the journey of life, a lot of it's educational. You gather these facts, you get this knowledge, you have these experiences, but do you turn them into, finally, life?
I hope
At the end of your life, you actually turn all of these experiences and all this knowledge into life.
Life, which is joy. But I see I think when I was younger, a lot of people said, you got to turn it into a career.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your life?
That's what we were talking about, what you leave behind or the thing that you make or whatever.
It's got to be a thing.
But it doesn't have
an
to
object. But what about, someone, I read this somewhere, Otto Rank maybe, but the greatest work of art you can ever create is yourself.
Sure.
Is yourself. Now, and I remember reading that stuff years ago and I was excited about it. I think the door is opening a little. I want to live a long time. And, someone said to me, Fred, the thing about aging is it's hypochondria. the more preoccupied you get with your body. And I went, oh, you're kidding. He says, oh, my God. Oh, no, there's another one. But part of it is now that I think I have a sense of what it is to walk down a path and I'm kind of with life and the trees are there and they're with me and all that. I want to live a long time, not just to gobble things up and have more. Oh, great image. Ernest Becker in The Denial of Death, I think, just flashed into my mental Paul's mind. He talked about, a lot of people live their lives like an earthworm. He said, earthworms burrow their way through the earth and they eat it at one end and they poo-poo it out the other end. And that's the way they go through life. And a lot of people kind of do that with knowledge, with relationships, with whatever it is. And he said, some people, when they get to the end of their life and they stand on the mountaintop and they look back, what they see are mounds and hills of chicken bones and cow bones and all these things they've devoured and consumed. And then they say, what did I do with all of that? And his notion was, if you can face that, and he said, getting older, you can do that. If you keep your eyes open and your ears open, you get older and you start seeing life for what it is, you realize you do that too. I hurt myself. You do that too. And the thing to do is don't go through life like that, just devouring at one end, poo-pooing it out the other. But to get to a point in your life where you have a sense you're giving back at least as much as you consumed. And part of giving back, I understand now, for me as a therapist, is, and as I go through the world, if you can spread some joy and some laughter and some listening and some caring that is as powerful and profound as anything else. Or if you do it through the written word or through the dramatic presence or through, well, I think part of what we're doing right now, Philip, is trying to say, let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate even the aging process. You know, the spiritual notion is even death is another opportunity to be enlightened.
And there you have it. Even death is another opportunity
Good.
to be enlightened. Thanks very much for joining Freddy the Rabbit.
I meant that as an up note.
It's an
by the way.
excellent. That's right.
Okay, all right.
Death is just another door.
All right. Well, let me go get my sciatic nerve checked.